Today's video we're going to be having a look at using the pen tool in Adobe Illustrator. Now the pen tool is a very tricky tool to use when you first start using it. But trust me, after a bit of practice, and it's going to take a fair bit of practice, you will get the hang of it and you'll start to be able to draw some really cool images in Illustrator. A lot of graphic designers use this pen tool to draw some very complex designs, and it's a fantastic tool once you know how to use it. So I'm going to start simple today. Okay, basically I've got this template drawn up. I'll just open up my layers panel here so you can see what I've done. On this layer called assets, I've locked it. Okay, it's got all the instructions and all these pictures on the page. I don't want you to actually touch them. Okay, so I've locked it so you can't edit it. And what you are going to do though is click on the draw here layer. Okay, it's the top layer which is unlocked, and you're simply going to draw over the top of this template. Okay, you're basically tracing what's on your page. There's some instructions at the top here. Okay, as well. So when you see little green dots, that means that's your starting point. When you see red dots, you start at that point to trace the shape, and you also finish at that point. Okay, where there's just grey dots, you can start and finish wherever you like. Alrighty, so we're going to look at using this pen tool. If you go down the left hand side through your toolbox, it's this tool right here. Okay, it looks like a little calligraphy pen. You can press the letter P for the keyboard shortcut to pick it up. Okay, don't get it confused with the curvature tool below it. You want to get the top one, which is the pen tool. Once you've selected your pen tool, you can go up the top and choose a fill color. For this tutorial though, we don't want a fill color, so select none. And you can choose a stroke color. So that's the color of your line. I'm going to choose black. I recommend using black as well. And just 1 point for your stroke is a good size. Okay, I'm just going to zoom in a little bit on this first activity up the top. We've got some straight, parallel, vertical, diagonal, horizontal, perpendicular, and dotted and dashed lines to have a look at. Okay, and basically it's a very simple activity. What you need to do with this pen tool, I'm going to start in the top left hand corner of this arrow, is click once. When you click once, that's the start point for your shape. As you move your mouse, you'll see that a line is going to follow it. Okay. It just wants to go to the next point. So let's go across to the next circle, click inside that. Go to the next circle straight up, click inside that. And you'll see that this pen tool will just keep following your mouse cursor, and as you click, it will connect the dots, or connect the lines together. Eventually you get back to the start. When you click back on that start point, your shape is all closed in and you finish drawing your arrow. You can grab your black arrow now and actually click on that. You can move it around if you want. You can go up the top, give it a fill color. Okay, it's pretty basic. So when you've got simple shapes with straight lines, very easy to trace them using the pen tool. Okay, we'll do the next one together as well. So if we go across, we've got the letter L. So I'm going to grab my pen tool again. I'm going to turn my fill color off. Make sure you turn that fill color off before you start tracing it. Keep the black stroke at 1 point and do the same as what you just did. Just click inside the circles. If you want to keep your lines perfectly straight as you do this, hold the Shift key. While you hold the Shift key down, it will keep your lines perfectly straight. There will be no bending them. Okay, there's the letter L, all done. It's as simple as that. So remember, grab your black arrow, click on it once, and just fill it in with a color. Okay, your job is to keep going across and doing the other letters in the word line, do the arrow, and do these lines down the bottom. Now when you get to these lines down the bottom, we have a bit of an issue when we draw our line. I'll just show you what happens here. So I'm just going to turn my fill color off, make sure I've got the black stroke selected. I'm going to start on this big circle. You can hold Shift and go straight across, keep that line straight, and click. And I've got a straight line there. But as I move my mouse cursor, the pen tool is still turned on and it's following my mouse cursor still. So the next time I click, that's where that line's going to go. Okay, I'll just undo that for a minute. So the way we turn our pen tool off, after you finish drawing a shape, if you want to turn it off, just press Escape on your keyboard. That turns the pen tool off. Easy. You're definitely going to need it for this next one, the dashed line. So you're going to click once on that start point, go across here and click. Okay, now press Escape to turn it off, and then you can start the next line. Click, click, press Escape to turn it off. Click, click, Escape to turn it off. Okay, it's pretty easy. Alright, and then you can go through there as well. Instead of just having black lines, You can go up and change the stroke color and start to make it look a bit fancy. You might want to change every second stroke color here, say to blue, and make every other stroke color green or something. Okay, so I want to see a lot of color in this design, so it's up to you what you do to them. You can even click on these strokes and you can make them a bit thicker if you want. Okay, so that makes a nice thick line. It's up to you what you do with that design. Okay, but just get those traced, color them in. The next one, zigzags. Pretty simple. Okay, it's the same thing. Grab your pen tool, make sure your stroke color's turned off. Turned on. You've got black, fill color's turned off. And for the zigzag, you just need to start where the green circle is. So I'm going to start on that green circle and click. My pen tool is following the mouse, so I'll go into the next point and click, click. Looks like I've left the stroke on size 5, so it's fairly thick. That's alright, you can see what's going on. And don't forget, when you get to the last point, to turn it off, press the escape key on your keyboard. Okay, and that makes a nice wavy line. Pretty simple. When we get to the third part, the curved and wavy lines, that's where it starts to get a little bit harder. So I'm going to zoom in here and show you what happens. I'm going to grab my pen tool. I'm just going to turn that stroke back down a bit to size 1. Okay, there's a couple of stages to get this shape looking good. Okay, curving lines is a really important part of using the pen tool, so you really need to learn how to do these curves. Remember there's a green dot here, so we need to start there. So I'm going to click once inside that green circle. Okay, and I've got the pen tool following my mouse cursor now. We simply go up to this next circle, and we click and drag our mouse in the direction of that arrow. So we click inside the circle first, and while we're holding the mouse key down, we drag across in the shape, in the direction of that arrow. You can see our line starting to curve. Okay, so stretch it in and out, up and down until you get the curve exactly right. So it's basically in the direction of that arrow. Okay, so now we've got a curved line when you let go of your mouse. When you do let go of your mouse, you'll still see that this line is following your mouse cursor. We haven't quite finished our shape yet. You do need to go down the bottom, okay, and just click once. So just get that arc looking pretty good. And there's our semicircle. Okay, the pen tool's still following my mouse. So I'm just going to press escape to turn it off. And there's our semicircle. Okay, you can click on that, change its color if you would like. Looks easy. We'll take a little bit of fiddling though to get the hang of it. Let's try again. Okay, I'll change my stroke color this time. I'll choose a blue. Remember to start on the green circle. So click once on the green circle, come across to the middle grey circle here, and we click and drag in the direction of the arrow. Okay, and that's going to bend our line. Just keep pulling it until it bends around. It looks good, and then we can come back to the finishing point up the top. Click our mouse once, and we've finished it. So press escape to close off that shape. There's another semicircle. Now the last one, it's got a few curves in it. Okay, so I'm just going to zoom out a bit here so you can see what happens. Okay, I'm not very good at this one, but we'll give it a go. Hopefully you're a bit better than me. Grab my pen tool. I'll pick a different color. I'll go, say, red for this one. Always start on that green circle, so I'm going to click on that. Go straight across to this big grey circle. Click and drag in the direction of the arrow. Try and get it spot on if you can. Okay, that looks good. Then we're going to come down to this next arrow, and it's telling us to click and drag to the right as well. So let's click and drag to the right. Try and match up that curve the best you can. You might need to go up or down a little bit just to get it right. There we go, that's pretty much it. Okay, we're going to go up to the next one. When you're on top of it, click and drag to the right in the shape of the arrow. It's looking pretty good. Down to the bottom, click and drag to the right. And then back up to the finish here. Okay, mine's a little bit off there. I think that's close enough. So I'll just click and then press escape to finish it off. Okay, a little bit wonky at the end there. If you want, you can grab your white arrow, which is your direct selection tool. You can actually pick up these little handles you can see. So you click on an anchor point, you can actually pick up these handles and move them around a little bit. Try and fix up those lines. Okay, you can even bend it a bit. Bend it a little bit. Okay, you can play around with the shape of those lines with that white arrow, but that's something for future tutorials. But just so you know it's there, you can click on anchor points, so the places where you clicked, and just adjust those handles to get different shapes. Okay, but again, as I said, that's for a later tutorial. That's probably the hardest part of this tutorial, doing those wavy lines. As you get down a little bit lower here, you're just going to have a look at doing some basic shapes. So we've got a star down here, so I'm going to change my stroke back to black. Remember, the red circle means you click and you start, you start and finish in that one position. So I'm going to start by clicking on the red circle. I'm just going to simply go around all the corners of the star there. Click, click, click. Nearly back to the start. And when you're back at the start, it will close your shape off. You can then grab your black arrow, click on the border of it, go give it some colour if you'd like. Alright, pretty simple. The love heart here, bit harder. We're starting to get the curves again. Just remember, all you need to do when you grab your pen tool, start on that coloured circle, come across to the right, and remember, click and drag in the direction of the arrow. So you need to click and drag out to the right, following that arrow. Okay, try and get it spot on. Then you can bring that curve around and just click once on the bottom. This time when we click on this circle, we need to click and drag up to the right to try and get that bend in the love heart. And then we come down and close off that shape back on the red dot. It's a little bit wonky. You'll see that when I fill it in. So if I just click on it and give it a fill color, you'll see it is a bit wonky. So as I said before, if you're really feeling fancy, grab that white arrow, click on those anchor points, and you can adjust the shape of this love heart to try and make it look a little bit better. Okay, there's another anchor point just there. You can pull them around a bit. You can drag it up a little bit. Do what you need to do to try and make it look a bit better. But I think if you get something looking just like that, I'd be very happy with it. Okay. So you get the idea, go around those shapes, click and drag where you need to, otherwise it's just a click, click, click job. When you get to the bottom, there's no instructions there, there's just some different shapes that you need to colour in. Make sure you fill them in. Okay, this should be a very colourful document when you're all done. And I think after doing all these different shapes, it's going to be a bit repetitive, but it's going to build up your muscle memory and you'll start to get the hang of that pen tool, which is a very tricky tool to use. Another way to consolidate your understanding, I want you to go over to this website. Okay, the address is up the top here. It's on the Adobe website. And you're going to play a little game where this little space explorer is lost and you need to use the pen tool to draw him a path home. Okay, so just go through the instructions there. It tells you eventually to pick up the pen tool by pressing the letter P. It will just give you a quick example of how it works. So you just click on those dots and you press escape to end your path. He says you're ready, so you press play. There's about 3 different levels in this game. Okay, you just need to click to start, and you're basically clicking a path for this little alien to get home. If you click and drag, you can get curves to get some bonus points. Okay, and you've got to try and keep ahead of him so he doesn't catch up to your mouse cursor. You've got to keep going through as well so you don't hit the black walls. I think there's about 3 levels. Okay, you've got to try and do it in as fewer clicks as possible. So try and give your pen skills a bit of a test using that game. Okay, I might just crash into the wall to finish that off. Okay, but you should be able to get through 2 or 3 levels. I can't remember how many it's got. But it's a pretty hard game once you get to level 2 and you've got to bend the lines with the pen tool. Okay, but by the time you do that game and this tutorial, you should have a fairly good understanding of using the pen tool. Okay, so enjoy doing that, and I'll see you in the next tutorial where we get a little bit more complex with the pen tool.